Right, today we welcome defender for Sandridge Rovers, Michael Williams, to the non-league radio show. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Stephen. Nice to be on the show. Thank you for inviting me.
Not a problem. Well, I'm doing a show on each part of the pitch. I'm doing one on defenders as well. So you were one of the first guys to come forward, which is class. But before we before we get into about your present playing career, we want to find out about your earliest memories in football.
Yeah, I grew up in North London, so I grew up on one of the council estates down in North London. So we was constantly always outside causing mischief, and apart from causing mischief, the only other thing to do outside was obviously play football. So there was a massive group of us who were a similar age, a few older people as well. And we used to be out as soon as we got back from school, out on the street, playing things like Five Alive, 11s beats, all those fun activities. And then we got a big field up top as well. So many like 5-a-side, 7-a-side, or sometimes you'd go into like a 15-a-side game. Depends on who was allowed that day and who was grounded and who wasn't. So I guess they're kind of my earliest football memories, and it all just bounced on from there.
So was there a team or a person that also maybe got you interested in the love of football?
Well, I think, like I said, it was a group of my mates who all played out on this estate. So we used to play out all the time, and one of my mates said, "Oh, you're quite good." I think at that time I was more enthusiastic than good, to be honest with you. And he invited me down to Barnet Youth at the time. I went for a training session there. I think where they saw how enthusiastic I was, they decided that I'd be a good goalkeeper at the time. So I think I played the first part of my career in goal, and then it was quite a successful Barnet Youth side. We won many of the county cups, and then we moved over to Whetstone because the funding got cut for Barnet Youth when they came out of League Two, and they went into what would have been a conference at the time. Yeah. So the youth facilities got cut at the time, so we all went over to Whetstone. And we had a very, very good, successful Sunday League youth team over there. So it was my mate there who got me into that. Unfortunately, I was stuck in goal and didn't enjoy it too much. But when you're winning every week, you kind of had to stick with it as well. It was a good learning curve seeing the game from that side of the pitch from that young, and then eventually managed to wangle myself outfield later on.
I was going to say, if I'd known you'd been a goalkeeper, you could have been on both shows, the goalkeeper show.
Oh, no, that's a distant memory. I've tried it a couple of times. We've had red cards or sending off, and I've thrown it in there. I was like, I used to be a goalkeeper when I was about 10 or 11. And they kick the ball a lot harder these days. So, and I don't think my reactions are quite quick enough to continue doing it. So I'll definitely not say I was a goalkeeper anymore.
As we go on as well, feel free to name drop anybody, any teammates, if they want to plug as you're doing this interview. So I don't mind that at all.
Will do.
Who did you support as a boy, or still do?
Well, I mean, you can't change a team, surely not. That's like against the code of conduct of football. No, I'm a big Arsenal fan. It's my mum that got me into it, to be honest. My dad doesn't like sport at all. She was the one that introduced me to it. I had all the Arsenal kits growing up. I'm born in 1994, so I had a very, very good introduction to football with the Arsenal Invincibles and double winning sides. I think my mum used to spray my hair the Freddie Ljungberg red mohawk, back in the day. So I was there for all the good times, and then I got harsh reality when I grew up that things aren't actually that rosy when it comes to supporting Arsenal Football Club. At the moment, it's definitely improving. It's looking very good now. It's reminiscent of those days, but it's good to enjoy it with a beer rather than a panda pop, I guess.
Yeah, and obviously, me being a Newcastle fan, it's starting to look a bit rosy for us now. So onwards and upwards for both.
Absolutely, it's looking very good on your end of the water, isn't it?
just a bit at the minute. I mean, you said earlier you were a goalkeeper. Now, obviously, you're a defender. Was that by choice, or was that did you just want to be a defender and get out of being in goal?
To be honest with you, I would have done anything to get outfield at that moment in time. I just love being out on the pitch, and like I said, I've always got bundles of energy. So ideally, I think I would have gone into a midfield role. I did play there for a couple of seasons, but I'm fairly tall, and I'm pretty dominant in the air. So that seemed like a better fit for me when the ball kept getting lumped over. And I used to have a little bit of pace back in the day. Not so much, not so much now. That's I don't know where that's gone. I've got to try and find that one. But no, I've enjoyed both aspects. I've always loved getting stuck into a tackle, and especially when the pitches were a bit muddy, I'll definitely be the one looking like bit of a mud monster at the end of the game. So I think a defender suits me well.
Yeah.
Well, I would always say the centre midfielder. I think most players who play in centre back would fancy themselves in midfield or up front, really.
Well, you've probably touched on both the next questions, because one I was going to say, what do you love most about your position? You've just mentioned getting muddy, and the other one's what other position? Midfield. Is that still the case, or would you prefer like to be a striker? Get all the plaudits?
Well, I have constant conversations with our manager, the person who elected me for the show, Matt Day, who's our manager at Sandridge, and I'm very well known to have taken my fair share of turns up front, and I've pitched it to him many a times. Despite scoring 7 goals the other week in training, he's still seeing me as a centre half. But I'm still fighting my calls, and I'll probably do that tomorrow night at Thursday training. So I'll give it another go, try and see if I can get maybe 8 so I can get a start up front. But no, to be honest with you, I reckon I could still do a job in a holding midfield position, which is where I'd like to play. But where I've played in centre half for so long now, I just enjoy the organisation. I was lucky enough to be made captain by my manager this season, and I really enjoy being able to lead from the back. And you can definitely see more of the outset of the pitch from the defensive position, getting the team organised and have more ownership of what the team's doing in front of you. Whereas in midfield, you're pretty much catching your breath and you're checking the shoulders to receive the ball more than you're organising phases of play.
Well, before we get into the next question about training, I think best ask about the football club first, Sandridge Rovers FC. If you could tell a little bit about the team and the league you're playing and how you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sandridge FC, one of the most historic clubs in the Hearts County League. They've existed in the Hearts Senior County Premier Division, which is top division of step 7 of the county leagues, and they've existed in that division there for 50 years. Never been promoted, never been relegated. Just a little bit of an insight to the club. They can't possibly go up because it's a recreational ground.
Right.
So very much a community-driven village side. Bundles of personality. Take that how you want to. But very, very old school, very like traditional kind of football. Not the greatest pitch in the world, but if you can play on it, you can play on any pitch, to be honest with you. So it's a good learning curve, and it definitely turns the boys to men, I'd say. It's one of those type of clubs.
What's the standard of the league you're playing in? Is it?
So it's step 7. So it falls at the bottom of the football pyramid.
Yeah.
The standard's pretty good. Our league's littered with development and under 23 sides. So it's a nice mix of professional setup. Well, I'd say good semi-professional setups with their coaching, their facilities. And then you've got us, which are the kind of in between. We like to call ourselves educators, I think, for the younger boys, because when they come to us, it's a different type of game. We kind of bridge the gap between higher end of non-league and then obviously your standard Saturday amateur league, to be honest with you.
So if you weren't just a recreation ground, could you progress? Can teams progress, or is it not going to happen?
Yeah.
Or you can yet?
We can't in ours because we're a recreational ground, but there's plenty of teams which progress from our division. I mean, the recent ones that you look at are Nusalamis, who have moved up into, I think it's step 4 or step 5. London Coney were there once upon a time. Lots of teams have progressed into like step 6, step 5, and some of them have even reached like step 4. That it's just in terms of what facilities you've got. There's so many different things you need to add to a football club to be able for them to go up. There's a team in our division who finished top, which are called Bellstone. And I don't think they could go up because it was something to do with being able to run a tunnel through a car park or something like that. The same with Letchworth a few seasons ago. Something to do with similar sort of thing, being able to run a tunnel or have the floodlights capacity.
Well, I'm looking at the Twitter here, so there's a nice team photo. You're just playing black and white, which is good.
Yeah, I thought you might like that one. It
hasn't went unnoticed. FC _Sandridge Rove, I can notice straight away you're not in the nomination for the goal of the month anyway.
It's ridiculous. I'm going to have to start getting a few from corners, I reckon. I've been trying to get myself up there, but it's been a tough start. We've got to try and not concede the goals first.
So staying on the club theme, what's the level of training like for you guys on a weekly basis? Is it once a week and then a match, or I don't know?
So we've got, so at the moment we're once a week because any step above us will play midweek as well. At the county level, you only play on a Saturday. So we have our first team training, which is on a Thursday, and we have a reserve team training, which is on a Tuesday. Obviously, if you're playing first team, you're also welcome to train with the reserve team on a Tuesday as well. But at the moment, because of the lighting issues, and obviously the funding for these clubs is become really, really tough. Because, the funding doesn't reach down to Step 7. We're quite fortunate that a lot of our football is funded by our bar and social club down at Sandridge Rovers, which enables a lot of these boys to come down and play for us. I think in the higher divisions, you get a lot more money, which is filtered down, and also with the sponsorship side of things as well.
Big bonus having a bar on site. I've got to say, big bonus.
Having a bar on ground. We are fairly well known to put a few behind the bar. I think we've made that pretty clear. Wherever we've gone, we've tried to win on the pitch, but we'll definitely win in the bar after.
Great. Well, here's the one where you get the name drop anyway. So the first one, I want to know the best player you've played with.
Okay, so it's really difficult. I was thinking about this when I saw a couple of the messages you sent over. I got a really good education when I was playing. I used to play at Bournemouth as part of their college system, not the first team or anything. It's just in their youth setup. But we was lucky enough to have some of the first teamers who were training, who trained the youngsters as part of their role when they played for Bournemouth. They also used to come into the. They used to be like youth coaches for us. Some of the players that were coming out of there were just phenomenal. Like watching them in training, they definitely showed us a few about ourselves. One of them, which is current first team manager, Luke Garrard for Bournemouth. He was outstanding in training. He used to take the mickey out of us all the time, just constantly doing little bits of skill or just hitting the bar from ridiculous angles and then just laughing at us walking away. But in terms of like best player, it's really, really hard to say. I've played with groups of players who have all linked up well on the pitch, and I don't know if that makes me a football bore, to be honest with you. But sometimes, for me, it's about how well people link up with each other. I've seen fantastic finishers. I mean, the three old boys, I call them at Bellstone. I talk about them quite a lot, which is Alan Bolger and I've forgot names of Darren Butler and. Also Darren Turner, like they just linked up so well. Was able to find each other anywhere on the pitch. It's almost telepathic. And I think for someone who's like quite nerdy on about systems and how people play, I don't really get too excited about the players that can beat players over and over again. It's about how many times you can be the slowest player on the pitch, but also find yourself in the most space, like the real intelligent players of the game.
And on the same note, the best player you've played against.
This one name stuck out for me. Like I said, I haven't had the opportunity to play at like such a higher level, but one of the players I've played against him a few times for a few different clubs. It's a gentleman called Osted Lippman who plays at London Lions. He was at Arsenal for a lot of his youth career, and I think he's actually named as one of the youth team's top goal scorers. In one of the seasons. He plays in centre mid for a team called London Lions. Who were also in our division, Hearts County League, who have gone up through the divisions. Just unreal on the ball. Plays in the number 10. Looks 100% double bothered about being on the pitch at all. But then when he gets the ball, I've just seen him like nutmeg someone, play a ball through like two people, and the free kick on the boy was just outrageous. Like you just couldn't get close to him. Like no matter how many players we put on him, with him just walking around the pitch, he was like zip, zip. Play a ball over and suddenly we're all spinning around and their strikers through on goal. Absolute unreal footballer, and the free kicks on him was a joke.
Well, you're on about free kicks, man. If that's you is that you taking that free kick to the penalty spot on your Twitter feed there? Is that you?
The free kick on the penalty.
It's landing on the penalty spot.
Oh yeah, that is me. Oh yeah, that is
me. I'm just watching it now. I know it's not good for people listening to the interview, but I'm watching it now. The setup and boom, straight on someone's nut. I think, and bam, straight. I think it was a header. I can't see.
I'll tell you what, if you've got a bit of volume on that, it's pretty funny. It was actually because I was injured last season for a long part of it. I managed to break my ankle, both sides, both the interior and exterior ligaments, as well as a break to the actual ankle. That was my first game back, and they had the VO there, and I do like to play up for the VO a little bit. As I've walked over to it, you can hear me say it's landed on the penalty spot. And I've literally I probably just hoofed it, to be honest with you. And it's landed right on the penalty spot. It's one of those moments where it's like, yeah, I'm so glad that was on camera.
And the way you've done it, I mean, it's 2,800 views, but it's on like loop. But it's the fact that you've hit it and just ran off. Like you know it's going to go in. Like
Just got to get ready for the new one. Just got to get ready for the next one.
And if we give you a Twitter out, Michael Godley, then you can see why he's God because of that ball he played in the box there.
Oh, you give me too much credit. I've been trying to nick a move for ages. That's what I need you on my PR.
Right, we'll move on. But you can check that out, Michael Godley on the Williams, sorry. On the Michael Godley, yes, sorry, Michael Godley.
Yeah.
On the Twitter. Go and check that video out. Get it up to about 5,000 views. And then
legend.
And I was going to get on to, have you got a sporting idol or a sporting hero you looked up to, or you still look up to, if they're still going?
Oh, like I said, I grew up in like the proper glory years of Arsenal, and like just the class of some of them players. It weren't just them as footballers. It's like it was a mould of player for that whole squad, and obviously it stems from Arsene Wenger, who's one of my sporting heroes. Like, but you can see how it transmitted. But I find it hard to look past like Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp. I mean, I know they're strikers that don't really resemble it, but if you look at even if you look further, it's a lot of them, like Tony Adams, like the leadership qualities, like the sheer class of Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry. You're talking like pure precision, skill control combined with pace and ruthlessness and a winning mentality. Like they're my heroes. Like they embody everything that a sporting athlete should be for me, and they like combined into like a super like duo up front. And that's what I said. It links into what I'm saying about saying a player who I think's the best player I've played is really difficult, because Thierry Henry probably wouldn't have made it as good as he was without the brain of Dennis Bergkamp educating him. And I don't think Dennis Bergkamp looks half as good if he's not got Thierry Henry steaming onto his balls, or Ian Wright before that. It's
no, I think
it's just a pure embodiment.
The forward one's a good shout, because I think most Newcastle fans would say Shearer for obvious reasons. But again, I think most forwards would get mentioned. You've got the odd star player in other positions, but no, I get that totally. And do you play any other sports, or what do you do in your spare time, or what do you do for fun, or?
I try and play. I used to play like every sport as a kid. I just love sport in general. It's why it's led me to become a PE teacher, which I am today. I've got admiration for all sports. I'm a proper technique nerd, and I'll watch any sport that's on TV. I mean, I play nothing competitive, but like I play a bit of tennis, bit of badminton, bit of table tennis, pool, snooker, like anything I could get my hands on. The only one which I didn't really get on with was probably rugby, to be honest with you, because we didn't get the opportunity to play it in school. I reckon I might have been half good at it, to be honest with you. Being a bit of a lump, I've probably really been okay, but we didn't have the opportunity to play that. But no, any sport, like if anyone's saying just go do this, let's go do that, I'll be well up for it. Suggest a game of bowling to me, and I'll be over the moon.
The next question I put in, because when I've been doing the goalkeeper questions to a couple of guys, I asked them about superstitions before games. Some were right boot, left boot, right glove, left glove. They had to do that before every game, and they wouldn't change their gloves if they had a clean sheet. I don't know if you've got any superstitions or a routine you do before every game.
No, to be honest, I think that's a proper.
That's proper honest. That's proper honest.
I'll tell you what, though. It's usually, I find that people, being in a lot of change rooms, the people that have superstitions are usually strikers, who've gone on a run of scoring, and they go, "Yeah, I'm not changing that, not changing that." And goalkeepers, like, and they're both like freaks from either end of the spectrum, really, aren't they? Like, to have that ability to be able to slow the game down and like time bend and then slot the ball so calmly into the back of net to score, that's a special talent, or however you want to put it. And same with goalkeepers, stand in the freezing cold in rain, um, and maybe get a couple of shots. So it takes a different breed to do that as well. But no, not for me, to be honest with you. I've got a lot of quirks and the way I am constantly, but I wouldn't say I do anything consciously or subconsciously before a game. It's all situational.
And these are a couple of quick fire ones. Have you got a best and a worst moment in football? I'm guessing if you broke your leg, maybe playing, that's not a good one. But a best and worst moment?
One of the best days of football we had, I remember, is we won the Aubrey Cup with Bellstone, and this day was the hottest recorded bank holiday Monday that's ever been registered. And we had the cup final that day, and it was such a good day. We played against Ware Sports, and they've arrived with a big coach of players, had champagne on it, came suited and booted, and we're just standing there in our usual tracksuits, looked like another game to us sort of thing, but they looked like they were right up for it. Hottest day of the year, literally. People have gone out for the warm-up. The manager's gone to us, "Lads, it's so hot, don't even warm up, just have a loosen up, go out there." They're doing a full-blown warm-up. They must have run out of steam in about 20 minutes, but everyone run out of steam in like 40 minutes, to be honest with you. Managed to scrape through 2-1 win on the day. Couple of great goals from us, and that was really good. Lots of my friends and family were there. It was nice pitched. Obviously, the weather you'd consider nice. It was nice for an ice cream. It weren't nice for playing football though. But that was certainly one of the better days.
The next
some of the bad ones.
The bad ones, yeah.
I was probably say that one there. Me breaking my ankle. I think it was on a pretty good run last year. Managed to get myself back in the team, and jumped up for a header and landed and snapped my ankle, which was not nice.
It's making us cringe just thinking about it. This may be the same answer as the question before, but have you got a favourite game that you've played in? May not be the same.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my favourite games, to be honest with you. There's lots of ones you remember for different reasons, but I think the trophy at the end of that one kind of puts it on a bit of pedestal.
So the last one, I ask the same sort of questions to everybody. I like to see different like levels and see what the answers I get. But I was going to say, any advice to young kids that may be interested in becoming a defender?
Yeah, don't do it. Nah, I'm only joking. So, be a striker. There's a lot more glory up there, and a lot more people will thank you. And if you make a mistake, it's not so bad. No, to be honest with you, it's a great position to play. You get a lot more of the ball than people think you do. It's moved on so much being a centre half now. It used to be get the ball, boot it long, let the strikers run onto it. Watching some of these young teams that play in our division play now, the centre halves get the most passes on the ball. And I think if you translate that to the Premier League, it's exactly the same. Some of the centre halves the majority of the centre halves are making more passes than your centre midfielders in most teams, because they like to play out from the back. It gives you the real staple to go on and go forward. I'd always, whenever I'm coaching children and stuff like that, I always say exactly that as well. You start all of the attacks, you're constantly involved in the game, and it increases your football knowledge so much as well, because you're constantly seeing where people are reacting, where people are going wrong. In a lot of ways, you're looking at the flaws and thinking, "Oh, I could do that better." I know I certainly do that, and that's why whatever striker I've got playing with me always have arguments, because he's thinking, "Why has he not defended that?" And I'm thinking, "Why is he not moving in that direction?" Because you see either end of the pitch, really. So the reason why I'd say is get involved is that, one, it's one of the most important positions on the pitch. You're always going to need fantastic centre halves, and they are underappreciated, but with the right person, they're definitely appreciated, and it'll give you a good long career as well.
This playing for the back is good, but it's not good for the nerves when you're watching it. And you watch some of these, especially for your own team, like, it's just horrendous to watch, because you think if you lose it there, it's just...
Exactly. But the thing is, they're getting so technical these days, and you can do it more and more. Depending on the pitch, it is nerve-wracking, though, and it does take a certain cool individual to pull it off.
You touched on it there, Michael. Are you involved in coaching as well?
Yeah. So I'm working as PE teacher in my school, and obviously I've done quite a lot of coaching before. Level 2 qualified coach, so I've helped out with different youth teams and so on and so forth, and I'll try and help out as much as I can with the current club I'm at as well.
Great stuff. While I've got your cross on your free kick on loop here, is there anybody? Because I'm on your Twitter account, I'm going to shout it out in a minute again. Is there anybody at the club you want to give a shout out to, or anybody that helps out? Yeah, go for it.
I mean, we got a great group at our club, and we've really gone on leaps and bounds. Obviously, like big thank you to Matt Day, who's our manager, who's come in midway through last season, and he's just turned the ship around. To be honest with you, he's brought in a great couple of boys. Really steadied everything going forward, and we lost a few this season, but he's recouped it and really gets the best out of the group that we've got. And obviously he keeps putting me to do these media things, so just keep shouting me out. Well done, Matt. Second one's got to be for Big Harry Seaby. We call him the lamppost. We were struggling for floodlights at Sandridge Rovers, so we've decided that we're just going to put one of those minor helmets with the light bulbs on it, so he can run around, so we can save a bit of money there. So that was really thoughtful of him. And it also managed to look after the armband after I had a little hamstring problem earlier on the season, so it was nice for him to keep that warm for me.
Good stuff. Anybody else, or was that over?
Yeah, I mean, just a general thank you to the people at the club. We've got Rumpy, who's our chairman, Kate, who does all of our, is our secretary and helps out with all our fixtures and events going forward. I know Graham's heavily involved as well, like all the people on the committee as well. Thanks for all the support and having the club where it is, because it does cost a lot of money to keep football clubs like ours going, but they seem to dig it out every single year and look after the boys.
Oh, great stuff. I'm going to shout your Twitter's out again. Sandridge Rovers FC's FC_Sandridge Rove. And if you want to go and see the video on loop of this wonderful cross, Michael Godley for Michael Williams. Well, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Stian, when we finish here, but it's been great. It's been a laugh. I could have spoke for another hour.
Cheers, Stephen. I do appreciate it. It's been a top laugh.
No problem. Thank you very much.